Hello, Mark Crossfield here. Really excited today. I am here with Glenn Billington, putting coach, and I'm in his amazing little den, his little indoor putting studio. I'm having a lot of fun in here. So for someone who enjoys putting a lot, we've got the SAM PuttLab on. We're going to show you some reports. We've got some data which we're going to capture where actually Glenn has helped me change some of my ideas on putting, which has been really enlightening actually, all with the help of Sam and Glenn's brilliant experience. So let's show you a little bit of what I've done with my stroke and what a fantastic machine like Sam could do for you to help you understand how to hold more putts. Let's get stuck in. Right guys, Glenn is here. We've got the SAM configured, haven't we, Glenn? And we're going to capture some putts. I'm going to do my original style of putting, which I would do, without thinking about. And then we're going to do 3 putts where we use my slightly Glenn Billington version of putting. And we're going to show you how it changed my data, and we're going to show you how it changed my life. It changed my outlook on putting, basically. So look, let's just capture some data here. You ready, Glenn? We're ready to go.
It's all set
Okay, so we'll do 3 with my original setup first of all. So there's 3 with my original putting stroke. So we're now going to do 3, Glenn, if you can set it back up for us, with my new style. And we'll talk to you about what I've done and show you how it actually reflects on physical data.
Yeah, okay.
So if you tell me when we're ready to rumble.
Okay, yeah.
On?
Yeah, we're on, we're ready.
Okay, so new style for me, I've got the ball more, well, I've got the putter face much more central to nose and sternum, like we talked about in other videos. I feel slightly more over the ball, and I've got a slightly different posture position. And I'm just going to kind of forget everything else and lock those hands in. So we're just going to hit 3 this way, and we're going to show you exactly how this changed my stroke. Okay, so there's 3 putts with 2 different styles. Let's head over to the computer. Let's show you what Sam delivers and show you a little bit how a change in setup position for me, courtesy of Glenn, has really changed my outlook on putting. Let's check out some of the data. Right guys, so we've done the putts. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail in a second about the actual changes we made, but let's just show you how the reports really differ, and then we'll go into some of the changes we actually made. So Glenn, if we show us some of the reports we got here.
Well, Mark, you were concerned about what was going to happen to the ball. Where were you aiming? So with Mark, we had to really drag him into it and get him involved in it. And you can see now that your aim report was pretty good. You were spot on, you know.
So this is aim at address.
Yeah.
This is where I'm aiming.
Yeah.
And as we changed, as Glenn says there, I was worried that my aim would change. I wouldn't be as good as aiming if I moved the ball, which I did, which we'll talk about in a second.
One of the things that you did say, I like to be behind the ball so I can see where it's going, but it makes everything all out of sequence.
Yeah, but it certainly didn't. The aim, as you can see from the 2 reports, stayed exactly the same.
Yeah, it stayed the same, which is obviously you've got a good eye, you can see what's going on.
Where I was definitely concerned that the aim would change. So if we look at the other reports.
Well, there we talk about the face rotation, what's happening during the stroke. On the first one, I could see that Mark, yesterday when we saw him, I could see that he was actually trying to force it off and trying to make it do this and that.
So what this report shows, try not to get too confused with the squiggly lines on this one. We could go into a massive video explaining exactly what they mean. You don't have to understand that. What you need to understand from certainly the left-hand report here is that those lines on the way through is measuring how my face angle is constantly moving. So this is downswing through to impact through to follow through, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what you can see around impact is you've got somewhere the face is closed, somewhere the face is open, because it's reacting to the fact that my stroke was so, which I didn't realise, but as I hit the ball was so wiggly, often turning more to the left, if anything.
That's right. So if you look at the left side one, you look at it, it forms a peak at impact.
Yeah.
So that peak shows me and tells me that you're trying to make an impact where Mark needs to be a free flowing action.
Absolutely. So if we have a look at the better comparable one.
The better one.
The biggest thing to notice from these two graphs is how much more smooth these lines are. So basically on this graph, the putter is basically, so on the downswing, it's coming from open, back to square, and then going from close. The other squiggly lines was showing the putter coming from open, back to square, then opening, and then closing again, as I was trying to fudge an impact subject to my stroke being a little bit all over the shop.
Well,
great.
This gives me a secret that I can see from this one, that especially the figure on the right, I can sort of look at somebody and see how much they use their hands.
Absolutely.
And
brilliant.
you were, which was good.
Yeah,
good.
And obviously I was able to use my hands, which for me, I mean, putting I've always enjoyed and been pretty successful at, but I can relate some of this data through to putts I've missed recently and back in years when I used to play more. From this data, how I definitely did try and just fudge the ball in, really manipulate it. So, you know, I was very reluctant to change because someone who putts quite well, but I can totally see how this accurate data could really help me get kind of like on fire with my putting.
Yeah,
so if we go on to the last reports here.
Well, the last report, we were talking about what's happening, easy, making the ball roll straight up the club face.
And the reason we use this report, isn't it, is because I was worried. We changed ball position, which we're going to show you, didn't we? Or Glenn made me change my ball position.
I didn't make you.
Yeah. And this show, I was worried that I wasn't going to hit the ball with the same loft, so deliver the same loft that I wanted to do, and hit the ball on the rise like I wanted to do. Yeah. And if we look at the two data, there's the first one, 3.6 up. And if we look at the last one...
Well, look at it. You can see that the shaft angle at impact, he's bang on. I'm really happy. You've got 2 degrees of loft on that putter.
Yeah.
So, you know, really we've formed a good base for you.
Absolutely.
That was the great part of your putting.
Absolutely. So if you show the other report just quickly so the guys can see, it's 0.6 of a degree difference. That's measuring how the putter comes up or down or level through, and I moved my ball position. I was worried I wasn't going to come up at it enough, but Sam and Glenn knows proved to me that actually it's exactly the same. So let's just show you a few of the changes I made. These aren't changes that might work for you because this is so personal to me, but what this is really hopefully showing you guys, that if you are not getting your putting lessons, if you're even having putting lessons, because so many people forget how important it is, don't they?
You've got to find
putting
the right
coach,
bloke. You've got to find the right one.
Absolutely. If you're not having putting lessons and getting measured with some decent kit like this, then no one could really see that unless they had kind of Glenn's level of experience. And even you have learned some things from this test, seeing it from the SAM's perspective, which you might not have seen just purely on a putting green. So let's show you some of the changes that we made. Right, so really interesting data there, guys. Let's just show you what I actually changed. So for me, I've always been someone, if I show them this way, Glenn, I've always been someone who puts the ball way off my front foot narrow stance in an effort to hit up. Now what happens is because that ball's so far forward, I'm often catching that ball more on the inward track of that natural curve, if you like. Right, so I'm aware of that. So what happened is I took that curve away. I would kind of come, well, I would go inside, a bit more inside, start to go a bit left, and then notice I'm going left and start pushing out to target.
Yeah, it was a push out, so
like a
rotation.
Kind of hold off almost on the way through.
So your hands are coming in that fashion, and all of a sudden...
Yeah, that's a really good... So it's like this, isn't it? So what I'm doing now, which feels very strange for me, is I'm starting now more with the club face much more in line sternum and nose, and I mean that ball to me, which is in the centre almost more, feels like it's on my back foot. I've really got to get used to that. It feels, yeah, absolutely. And as you can see from the data, that didn't affect my aim at address, which I thought it would. It didn't affect my ascending or descending blow. I was hitting up at it the same amount. What it did change though is the consistency of how I move the putter head through impact and the rotation of the face. It took off all this kind of finding target with my hands kind of ideas. So for me, change of ball position and change of setup. And one of the things from spending time with Glenn here that's really staying in my head, which he always says, and he said it a lot in the other videos, is that if you can get the setup correct and lock the hands in with a decent grip, then you're kind of going to make a good stroke as long as certain other things are in place. But it's all built around, so much of it is built around grip and setup, where for me, having that ball so far forward was completely changing what I had to do to make a functional putting stroke, basically.
Well, we all know the player on tour at the moment who's struggling with the putting. You see them. And the confidence.
Absolutely.
It just spreads through the whole of the game.
Absolutely. So for me, I get the ball position in this new place, which feels strange. Just get that grip set on. As long as I'm aiming correctly at the start, which we've shown you already I'm quite skilled at doing, from there on, as long as my hand position doesn't particularly move, it's just a case of moving that putter backwards and forwards, and I'm going to make a good stroke and hold more putts. Brilliant, Glenn, really good. We're going to do more of these. Let me know what you think, guys. Post comments down below. Have you had lessons on SAM or not? Do you get the grass or don't? Post comments. Some of you, it's all going to blow your head off a bit looking at all those squiggly lines. But for me, the moral really is change the ball position and change the slight setup, completely change the dynamics of my stroke into a more consistent pattern. Seen by a great expert like Glenn, but also through the brilliance of SAM PuttLab. Thanks for watching. Post comments down below and we'll speak to you all soon. So if you like what's going on here, don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Also thumbs up the video, post comments, love to hear what you guys got to say. Let's keep it social. The more we talk, the more we share, the easier this game will get for everybody. So if you want to find me on Facebook here, you can find me on Facebook. If you want to tweet me, find me on Twitter here as well. Just follow the links, all in the description. Come and join the show, get active, get involved, get playing some better golf. Thanks for watching.